publish everything and it's very expensive.
Yeah, but the presence on bulletin's daily, the
Presence on
weekly.
bulletin, yeah.
Yeah, the other one's weekly.
I mean, we've talked about this, 2-3 meetings ago, about possibly using presence sign going forward.
I think it would make sense to have that option.
I mean, because otherwise we're gonna get into the bind that we've gotten into the last few meetings where we had a Tuesday meeting and we went to try to go to press and we had to skip a whole week only because we had.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago, if you guys remember, it might
Yeah,
have
it was
been
the other meeting.
a couple of meetings ago.
So you're saying not have to be both this time?
I
Do
would,
one or the other?
If you're gonna lean towards one or the other, it would be the presence on both.
I would lean towards the presence sign.
Yeah, I would agree.
We'll leave them both in there, is what you're saying?
Both.
No, I would, I mean, if it's an expense thing, I would say let's just have the presence on both.
Because it's daily.
It's daily.
But if it says and, you can't use one or the other. right?
Well, if you have two official newspapers, then you need to publish it in both official
Both,
newspapers.
and so you got double the expense. So my thought is just using the presence on both.
If we're gonna only have one.
We're only have one.
Right.
I make a motion to have the presence on both and be the official newspaper.
Yeah, so we'll scratch Tiger County Courier.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
No, go right ahead.
I'll second.
We're gonna vote on this, then? Right?
Yes.
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 Rob gave a
Motion by, seconded by, that the town of Owego clerk and the deputy town clerk are appointed registers of vital statistics for the village of Owego.
I'll second.
all in favor of this?
Yes.
Yeah. Ed?
Okay. Motion that the village personal mileage reimbursement rate.
No, what about,
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Now therefore be it resolved that the annual estimate of the village of Owego will be set at the next board meeting on April 6, 2018, and at the DPW Annex 20 Elm Street, Owego, New York, 1327.
Second by,
are you talking about the annual
estimate of taxes.
estimate of taxes from the town of Owego, is what you're saying, from the,
No, our annual estimate of taxes.
Well, it comes from the town, right?
No, this is gonna be like your annual, just a quick, your annual budget estimate. We've done that before.
which is basically the budget that we
Right.
already have right now. The button one from January, mid-January, one from December.
Unless you change it between now and April 16th. So I got a motion by Ed, seconded by,
I'll second.
all in favor of this? Christian Bruce?
Yes.
Yes.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Ken? Ned? Okay. Kenny, you want to do the next one?
Sure. Motion by, second by, that the village personal mileage reimbursement rate will be the IRS standard mileage rate.
Finance second, say? All in favor of this? Ken?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Mayor? Yep. Okay.
Make a motion that the finance insurance commissioner and the clerk treasurer will review all insurance policies on village property and buildings, including flood insurance, verify current status and report status to the board on the second board meeting on Monday, May 21st, 2018 at the DPW Annex, 20 Elm Street, Owego.
Need a second? All in favor?
Yeah.
In favor.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I'll do that, I can't do that. Go ahead.
Motion by, seconded by, that the planning board commissioner and the clerk treasurer will review the Tiger County hazard mitigation plan, Village of Owego section, Village of Owego comprehensive plan, emergency management plan, and report the state the state of each and need for revision if needed to the board at the first board meeting in May.
Second by,
I'll second it.
first, trustee
Yep.
Fran. Trustee Mandel.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fran, you-
Motion by, seconded by that the grants commissioner and the clerk treasurer will review the status of all Village of Owego grants and report the status of each to the board by the second board meeting in June.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of this one, trustee
Yes.
Trustee Mandel?
Yes. Yes.
Trustee Hudson, yes. Mayor?
Motion by, second by, that the Village of Owego procurement policy will be reviewed by the Finance Commission and the clerk/treasurer, and recommendations or updates, if needed, be reported to the board at the second board meeting of April.
I think that should be finance commissioner, right?
Yeah.
Since we don't have a commissioner.
Commissioner, okay. Need a second?
How's that supposed to read?
It's gonna be commissioner.
Second line down.
Okay.
Need a second on that? Rob? All in favor of this?
Yep.
This,
Yes.
Mayor, this is. Rob, you got one?
Motion to have the wastewater treatment plant commissioner and the wastewater treatment plant supervisor review the wastewater treatment plant rates and make recommendations to the board at the first board meeting in July. Any needed increases, decreases, other building changes needed to fund the operation and maintenance of wastewater treatment plant facility.
Need a second, Fran?
Can we have some discussion on that?
Yeah.
I think that instead of a commissioner, that we should entertain having a committee which would do this in addition to other things related to wastewater treatment plant. I think it's too big of a job. It's proved to be something that's elusive over the last 4 or 5 years at least. And I think it's something that would make sense to have a committee formed to do this. I know Rob is.
I agree. I think the more eyes on it, the better. I don't think we're required to have commissioners, but we have for several years in the village. So either not having a commissioner at all or having a committee, I think that puts more eyes on it. That means more eyes are involved in looking at it. And I think it would get the best results.
I mean, my 2 cents on it as we think about it, all the board members come back with names, come back with an idea on how many people a committee might, what it might look like for
Can
next
we
meeting.
hold,
Yeah.
can we hold this item
Yep.
for the next?
I want to table it.
We'll put that on the next agenda, and I believe there used to be a sewer
Committee, commission.
There used to be a sewer commission.
How did that work? How'd that go?
They all-
it didn't work at the sewer plant.
And Jerry wasn't here. Long
So
predated.
it'd be a committee that would recommend to you guys, then we'll go from there. And just regular citizens can be on the committee. Anybody. Okay. All right.
Yeah, in fact, that would be the point, right? Would be to have more
Yeah,
input from.
yeah.
From the public, exactly.
Now, the next one's a long one, but all it is, it has all the meetings for the year coming up. And it just tells you what, like Labor Day, Martin Luther King Day, whatnot. But you have one conflict already, you might be going to school, you guys, on May 6th. Yeah. So,
May 6th and stuff.
May 7th would be the one day.
yeah, so, you wanna move the May 7th meeting to May 14th?
That's when
The May.
That's just because of absent.
Yeah, 3 or 4 people will be going to nighttime meetings.
Why would we have it May 7th? Because that's the second Monday of the month, or the
No.
first? Oh, no, it's the first,
It's the
okay, I
first,
see.
yeah.
It's the first Monday, yeah.
Okay, and so we're saying having it the 14th,
14th, yeah, we've done that before.
and then having the next meeting the following week on the 21st.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not against it.
That'll just save you from having to do it come the next meeting changes.
It's fine with me.
So I need a motion on the legal notice for the meetings.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Yeah.
On page 5, motion,
Okay, you gotta do commissioners.
okay. Should I just read it?
Yeah, just tell me you're making the following appointments.
Making the following appointments for trustee commissionerships. Trustee Henson, fire, EMS, and OHPAC.
I'd like to see if we can follow up later and have discussion on that,
Okay.
including all of us. Okay.
I agree. I'll cut to the chase on mine. I mean, the commissionerships have changed 3 or 4 times in the last week, and I haven't had any dialogue with you about any of this yet, so I'd have to decline my commissionerships this time until more discussion can be had.
Okay, can we, somehow postpone these until?
Yeah, I think you can. I don't, yeah, it's not, you just won't get the fancy name.
We'll get Ken on
Okay,
this,
that's,
right?
I think the idea was that to throw something out there just to see how we feel about, you know, what we specialize in, what you guys are used to, and we could piggyback on and class one the new arrivals so that we know what's going on, and so we just don't explain into it.
Well, fair enough, that's why I think we
Yeah,
should
that's what I
have,
think.
we should have discussion
Yes,
before we.
I agree.
I'm open to that.
Okay.
When would we discuss this?
what's that?
When would we discuss this?
Well, I can only speak for myself, but me personally, I'd like to speak to the mayor. You know, I mean, he's making the commissionership, and he's the one appointing me to these specific commissionerships, so I guess I'd like to have a conversation with him. I mean, it's up to anybody else how they wanna handle it personally, but.
We'll decide it before next meeting.
You're so good at that one, Trey. Another personnel.
Make a motion that personnel matters, including new hire interviews, will be handled by a personnel committee consisting of the personnel commissioners, the affected department commissioner, the department head, and the department head. Personnel actions recommended by the committee will be reviewed by the mayor and brought to the village board of trustees. This policy includes full and part-time hires. Mayor Beretta appoints, I should fill in my names. I was gonna appoint trustee Manville and trustee Van Huzen to the personnel committee. Everybody okay with that?
Need a second on that one.
I guess I'd like to hear from trustee Van Huzen and trustee Manville first.
Yeah,
They're okay with it.
I guess if it's okay, similar to the commissioners, is this something we can kind of digest, discuss, and then come back to next week?
Yeah,
Or next meeting?
Great.
we would meet as needed, is that the idea?
Yes.
Yeah, typically what happens too is you'll have times where you might have a day where you're holding interviews, and you want that committee to be available to perform the interviews, and, it can get hectic because you'll have interviewees that can't all make it on the same day and things like that, so it's,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean, I agree to wait on that, but I agree that it probably should be the mayor and then 2 different trustees, 3-person committee is how I would, how I think that should be.
that's how it's done.
I'm fine with the appointment.
The only thing I wanna make clear is,
Next meeting, that's
when
fine.
they say part-time, they don't mean seasonal. If I gotta bring guys that are gonna push lawnmowers,
Doesn't say season.
This is part-time.
Yeah, they shouldn't have to go through a committee.
No.
So are we putting this one on hold?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Maybe one more.
I don't have a good track record here. Make a motion to adopt the following resolution, whereas the code of the Village of Owego does not establish procedural rules for conduct of meetings of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Owego, whereas New York Village Law 4-412 gives the Board of Trustees of the Village of Owego the statutory authority to determine the rules of its posture, and now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Owego adopts the document entitled NICOM Meeting Procedures, page 5.5 to 5.9, as the rules of our procedure for the official year beginning this date.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
That ends the annual meeting. Public comment would be good.
Alright, so the first thing is public comment. Mr. Walters?
Quickly raise my hand.
Brief, that's Jeff, like not brief.
You get 120 seconds.
Whoa, whoa. That's not very well. Down to 100 seconds. Pass those out. I was just asked to come and give an update on a few projects and things going on, so I'll wear multiple hats. First one is where we're at with the Little League process. There's two pieces of that. Number one, we continue the lighting project that's going on to finish lighting the two additional fields at Little League. So that'll be starting back up now that the weather has finally stopped and I think the snow has ended, hopefully. And along with that, we had come to the board previously, so we're coming back to you because you have a new board. And there was a submission to Senator Akshar's office for the State Municipal Facilities Capital Program. I won't go into details, but there was a letter sent out by this board to the mayor to support going after funding from Senator Akshar's office that has to do with some facilities upgrades that would happen at Little League Park, handicap lighting, paving, etc. Jeff has the details if you need more information on that. Our hope is that the new board will support that effort in Senator Akshar's office. And if you do, then you need to get a hold of Valerie Dada, that's in Senator Akshar's office, and it has to come from the mayor that you still want to pursue that. If you need any more information, you can get with me on that. Second thing is kind of an update on what's going on with the Fireman's Fountain.
By the way, you look good on TV.
Oh, that's just because nobody else wants to do it. So where we're at with that is the plan right now is the overall project is estimated at, from a cash value, as far as raising money, about $117,000 project. That doesn't include in-kind efforts. We have a lot of different businesses, contractors, et cetera, that have stepped forward to do a lot of in-kind work. The assessment of the fountain, we hired a firm out of Ohio. They will come and do a complete assessment of the fountain, the shape that it's in, give us a lot of details, some specs and things that there aren't any. And then in conjunction with a firm, Robinson Ironworks out of Alabama, they'll come at the same time once that assessment is done with a firm out of Ohio. Then Robinson will remove the fountain and take it to Alabama to be renovated. That'll take about a month. And in the meantime, the site will then begin to be prepared for the fountain to return and be placed back into position. Now, that's a little bit of a high level of everything that has to go on, but the good news is we have a contractor that stepped forward, that's willing to do the concrete work and all the materials at no cost. So that's a big, that was a big piece of the funding profile. Suez Water's involved. Justin Hulslander, new sidewalk, you can see the bricks that are in the old Tom Ash window as a fundraiser. We've exceeded our initial goal of selling 100 bricks. We're over that amount now. We continue to sell those. That'll be part of the memorial walkway that will lead up to the fountain. So we continue to do fundraising efforts. So that's kind of where the fountain project's at. So let's see, Little League, fountain project, and this whole thing. The last thing, this letter I gave you is the hope that the Owego Host Team Inc. will be conducting firematic races as part of the Central New York Firemen's Association spring meeting on Saturday, April 14th in front of the American Legion Post 401 on Front Street. Races include a bucket brigade, water ball, and Y race. We respectfully request the Village of Owego donate/waive your portion of the hydrant fee for this event. As was done last year, we've also sent a letter along to Suez Water for their consideration of waiving their fee. Per our past discussions and practice with Suez, we will implement the following. 1, gate valve on the hydrant. 2, the hydrant will remain fully open while the gate valve is being used. 3, once the event is over, the hydrant will be slowly shut down to assure that it is not leaking. And number 4, we will complete a hydrant usage card and return to your office within 1 week of the event. We appreciate the Village of Owego's partnership on this time-honored tradition in Owego, and thank you for your continued support. So those fees are, it was put in place that there was a $500 fee that the village imposed, and the same $500 fee that Suez does for any hydrant use outside of the fire department. So hopefully you'll take that into consideration and let us know if you're willing to do that.
What is this, is it still the $500, Jeff?
Yeah.
And
Village's portion's 500, and Suez is 500.
Yeah.
Historically, Suez won't waive theirs
Which-
unless we waive ours.
that's up to them, but our part, we've waived now for at least a couple of years.
Several years.
Yeah.
Now, Nate, do we need a motion to waive that $500?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless there's other discussion, I'm ready to make a motion.
I'll second. That's assuming that both parties waive the fee?
No,
No,
just, we can only control
Yeah.
Suez.
There's two separate pieces.
That's up to them to work with Suez in terms of what Suez can do for them.
Sorry.
No.
And just to let you know, it's a Central New York meeting, so there'll be people coming in, they'll be spending overnight. They'll bring people to businesses. We'll be also promoting some of our fundraising efforts in conjunction with the fountain.
Did you guys work out a parade permit or anything yet?
We sent a thing to, I guess Jeff got a thing in working with the state on shutting down the street.
I just wanna make sure that's moving along.
You know, it's in process.
We're gonna vote on this,
Yep.
we're gonna vote on the,
Waive the $500.
waive the $500 fee, trustee Lewis.
Yep.
Yes.
Mayor? Yes. Okay, all right, did that.
And then the only other thing, I don't know if you want to do a motion wise, I think I'm sure that'll be up to the attorney to recommend whether you need to do that or not. But to support the letter that went forward for the SAM Municipal Capital Improvement Grant to
Did we
the
do
Tax
it?
Sheriff's Office.
Did we do letters? Anybody remember if we did?
Yes, you sent
Well, I know we did a letter, but did we do a motion authorizing Steve to do the letter? Did we?
Yes.
I think we did.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I'd like to, I mean, once again, open for discussion, but, I mean, I'm ready to make a motion to authorize Mayor Barata to do the same letter.
Second.
And just to help your discussion, the whole idea there is now that we have lights and things will go on at night, a lot of it has to do with handicap accessibility and lighting and safety. So that's part of when Senator Akshar came and visited when we had the lighting ceremony, when we lit the first field. It was his suggestion to us that this was something we should, as the village, pursue from his office. So we're just following up on his recommendation.
This is just gonna review the letter.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Yes. Can you do it? Oh. Do you need to bring that up? Okay.
John, I just sent your email over to Mayor Barata, so he's got your info now, so you can.
And just to let you know, also what's going on Little League is, we think at least 3, just for people that attend there. There's a lot of work and effort going on in the fields. We've received grant money for a brand new zero-track commercial mower for mowing the fields. We received funding to purchase a piece of equipment that is used for infield grooming, to properly groom the infields. Because the way we were doing it, the equipment we were using caused us more work and effort. Also, we're in the process of taking down the old batting cage and putting up a brand new double-wide batting cage with netting that have a soft toss area, which will allow us to have more kids use that for batting practice. And we'll be replacing 3, possibly all 4 of the scoreboards that are all getting paid for by different businesses. So there's a lot of activity at the park, and just like the last time I was here, the goal of the park now is it's a community place. So there's going to be the opportunity to do a lot more events there, not just Little League baseball. We're also working with the school. There's a possibility that the teener field that we use for the older group may possibly get fenced in as well. So people that don't, we're kind of a hidden gem at the end of George Street. But it's the ability that we're going to be doing and promoting and working with anybody in the community to hold different events, whether it's movie nights, whether it's concert at the park, whatever it is, to be able to use that facility. So that capital improvement will allow paving, parking, safety, handicap accessibility, all those things to just improve that area and that park for the village. So, which will also help. We're also have applied, and our hope is not this year, but the following year, we'll bring the state tournament back to Owego. It came in the 80s. We're trying to do that as well. That brings more, obviously brings more economic benefit to the village. So we're looking at it as an overall economic benefit to the village. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. That's my Little League hat. And you can also ask my hose team hat, and I think I got a few other hats I wear.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Over 120.
Sorry. Hey, they tell me. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Please. First of all, congratulations to the new members of the village board, Mayor Mike Barata and trustees Fran Van Housen and Charles Plater. Congratulations too to Rod Marchuka. I believe the changes in the board personnel were affected in great measure by voter discontent with many of the initiatives of the previous board. For the last 2 years, the board and mayor were of the same party and incidentally of the same gender. This makeup did not lend itself to introspection or serious debate. Among the possibilities the new blood affords, I should like to see changes in both methodology and in spending patterns. The last board made the unilateral decision that most residents agreed with its contention we should police ourselves differently than ever before in our history, and acted on this belief. This cost us a police chief, most of our trained officers, and more than $20,000 for a survey that was ultimately useless. Since 2012, the faction representing the Taxpayers' Party refused to hire a regular bookkeeper, preferring to spend much greater sums on seemingly never-ending audits. Without proving any of its allegations, the previous board dissolved the Owego Historic Preservation Commission, thus depriving the village of the privileged status of being a certified local government and the leg up the CLG designation afforded us when applying for grants. The proposal to replace it with a more appropriate committee has so far come to naught. The previous board, while touting itself as promoting a voice for everyone, had no open meetings wherein the residents could observe the decision-making process. There were no committee meetings held at the mayor's office, and the only opportunity to speak is during privilege of the floor, which is not necessarily interactive. Residents could ask a question, but would not likely get an answer. Perhaps the most egregious misuse by the previous office holders is pecuniary and thus quantifiable. Whereas previous boards budgeted less than $50,000, typically $40,000 annually for legal services, the taxpayers' party spent more than twice that amount over the last year, a total of 7 months. For what? New oversight with a view to economy may serve to eliminate overuse of a precious commodity. So with the new year come new opportunities to serve and promote the village. Over the next few months, we will proudly welcome a score or more of new beds in the business district at the Parkview Hotel and the Belleville Lockwood Inn. The Gateway building in the River Road Gap will come online, including long-awaited public restrooms. The Main Street projects at the head of Court Street recently got funded, and there's a new initiative spearheaded by the County Economic Development and Planning Department to get funding for projects on North Avenue. Our glass is at least half full. All that is needed is the agreement of all of us, residents and representatives, that we will work together and not allow past recriminations and prejudices to intrude on future successes. A wise person once observed, there is no limit to what we can do if we don't care who takes the credit. Let's get to it.
Could we have a copy of that letter for the
Sure can.
clerk treasurer? Thank you.
Nadine Bixby, 244 Main Street. I'm here tonight to represent the Reed State OHPC Task Force, a group of citizens that are responding to the problem at hand regarding the implementation of Local Law 5 of 2017. Tonight it appears that the Local Law 5 of 2017 is not functioning or serving its intended purpose since it officially became law December 28, 2017. To the best of our knowledge, the newly created OHPAC has suffered several recent resignations, leaving it either devoid of membership or certainly without a functioning forum for decision-making. To the best of our knowledge, OHPAC has never met. This is a problem for the spring construction renovation season that is already upon us and for people trying to abide by the law regarding applying for permits and certificates of appropriateness. I am sure that it was not the intention of the previous board to pass a law that was not going to work from its inception. But here we are tonight in that very situation. It's very disappointing that this problem is not even an agenda item tonight. I hope that our concerns will be addressed, our questions answered, and any errors that I may make in this statement be corrected. The OHPAC finds itself in the company of another legally designated authority in the village code under zoning, the Architectural Review Board, which also never meets and has no members and does not serve the community in any way. In fact, the existence of this committee and this architectural board causes confusion due to their cross purposes. I do not know what the legal implications are of this conflict. But I do know that what we all can do together is to make this situation right. As I speak, we have solid commitments of 5 former OHPC commissioners plus 1 new member to serve on a reinstated OHPC in a limited, staggered terms as would be described in the law. We were hoping that some of the members of the OHPAC would be interested in serving terms as commissioners. If by some miracle the OHPC were reinstated tonight, we could fill the seats tomorrow and get to work. We also have the solid commitments of 2 different former commissioners to form a training team for novice commissioners who would be replacing the original group as their terms end. These members need to be conversant with all laws and guidelines set forth by the Department of the Interior that apply to historic preservation in historic districts. We have designed and are ready to implement a new application form, which is much more user-friendly, and the new OHPC would adopt and implement an OHPC action plan submitted to the board on November 6, 2017 to better serve the public. OHPC may not have been perfect, but it was not broken. It worked for over 20 years and had been used as a model for other communities trying to establish historic districts. You all need to know that this past Saturday, March 31st, 2018, the New York State budget was adopted, and New York State historic tax credits have been extended through December 2024. This was accomplished through bipartisan support on both sides of the aisle. At the federal level, the Secretary of the Interior announced $32.6 million in historic preservation grants to states on April 27, 2017. On our own village website, you will find a 78-page document that is a copy of the village's application to the Department of the Interior that extended the village's original historic district. This document lists by address each property within the district and describes each in detail. It is highly unusual and serves as a reminder of the treasures among which we live. Our village was officially decertified as a certified local government on March 9, 2018 by the Department of the Interior's National Park Service, an absolutely avoidable break from our original 1990 certification date. In comparison, New York City achieved its CLG rating 6 years after. And you can bet they're not going to allow their metropolis to be decertified. We have an extraordinary historic district, well known and respected by the offices and agencies who manage the funding for applications. We need to maintain that reputation. Now, we all know now that the path back to the CLG is through the reinstated OHPC. The two are linked through no design of any of us in this room, but this is the direction of our forward motion together towards progress. In the future, you'll be hearing from local governmental agency representatives who will advocate for the CLG because it keeps our tax dollars in our community not flowing out to other historic preservation projects elsewhere in New York State. Grant writing is a competitive sport. The CLG puts our grant applicants at an advantage because the designation serves as a seal of faith that our local government is dedicated to and has proved itself to following best practices. So what to do next? Mr. Mayor and trustees, we strongly advocate that we all work together to reinstate the OHPC and regain our village's CLG rating. Mr. Mayor, in the near future, authorize the village attorney to draw up a new local law taken directly from the template of the recently updated historic preservation law on the New York State Office of Historic Preservation's website. This can all be done in about 6 weeks, and once that is in place, we will need to reapply for the CLG. Historic preservation seems to place